Hi everybody, this is Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Today we're back at Holmes Honda so I can tell you what you get for a sticker price of $44,400 with the 2023 version of the Honda Pilot EXL. For one thing, you get a Honda Pilot that's fully redesigned. It has an exterior color in this particular situation of platinum white with a gray interior. When you have gray interiors in this particular case, you get two different shades of gray. So if you like multiple shades of gray, well, that's what you get. I know some people do like that. They don't just want jet black, and I can understand that. It has plentiful interior space for driver and passengers. The new 3.5-liter V6 under the hood provides plenty of horsepower and torque, and there are a lot of changes that go beyond just the exterior. Let's take a look at exactly what those changes are. So let's talk about size differences compared to the previous generation. 2.8 inches of wheelbase increase. Wheelbase is measured from the center of one tire to the center of the other. If you measure from bumper to bumper, you're looking at an increase of 3.4 inches. And if the Pilot looks a little wider, well, there's a few reasons for that. For one reason, the front end increases between 1.1 and 1.2 inches in width. The rear increases 1.4 to 1.5 inches. And when you look from this angle, you can easily see the wider grille. It definitely gives it a lower profile stance, at least it looks that way. LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, and LED fog lights. We're also going to see that everything here is more squared off. Now, it's not completely shaped like a brick. There are still some nice lines, some rounded off areas on the hood, on the fenders, a little bit of everything being there. We also have the air curtains right here that are going to help to improve gas mileage. You can see daylight through there, so you know that that is the case. And Honda sensing, road departure, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, all of that is here. And yes, you also have blind spot monitoring, as you should be able to hopefully see on the mirror right there. These are power adjustable heated side view mirrors. You also have the remote right here that has remote start built in, and those turn signal indicators are built in as well. Now, the windows were tinted by Holmes Honda, so this is not factory tint in case you were curious. Under the hood is the 3.5-liter V6. This is not the same engine combination that was under the hood of the previous generation. It's more efficient. It makes 285 horsepower. The torque numbers stay the same at 262, but it is more efficient and more responsive, due in part to the fact that it's mated to a new, designed for the Pilot, 10-speed automatic transmission. Gone is the 9-speed. And you can get these models in all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive is standard, except for on the Trail Sport and the Elite. Those come standard with all-wheel drive. Tire and wheel size, 255 on the width. We're going to have a 60 series sidewall wrapped around the 19-inch wheels. And what about those all-important MPGs? 19 city, 27 highway, 22 combined, and Honda says you should use 4.5 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. And if you would like to tow with your Pilot, it can tow up to 5,000 pounds. On the EXL trim level, we will have the power rear door. Obviously, there are multiple ways to open that, whether it's the button on the tailgate itself, you can use the remote, or there is a button within the interior. And let's talk a little bit about cargo space. 18.6 up to 86.5 up to 87 cubic feet. And yes, there is a third row back here. We'll take a look at that shortly. You do have some space underneath the floor. And one thing I like back here, even though you have the cargo mat that you can put in place here, for some reason that's not here, or whatever the situation is, you have the double-sided floor. So you have the carpeted side right here, but if for some reason you maybe had the rear seats folded up and you took the cargo mat out, you needed to haul something back here that might get this area dirty. You don't want to get dirt or sand or whatever in your carpet. Well, you can flip this over, this lid over to the plastic side. That will solve that problem. There is a little bit more space on each side as far as a little bit of storage, just a little nooks and crannies, quite a bit of that throughout the interior. And you will also find the 12-volt power outlet back here as well. And in case you are curious, yes, you can fold things up right here if you need to, or like I said before, you can move that out. Now, one thing that you won't find here is the sunroof, but there is the optional panoramic sunroof if you wish to have that. And then if you need to change the height of your rear door, if I can keep from getting tongue twisted, here's what you do. So I just lowered that down. You're going to hold the button down and listen for the beeps. And then we're going to close that, and I'll let you see how that opens back up to the position where I set it. It's that easy. You don't have to go into the infotainment screen to find a setting to change that. There's not a button or a switch in the front seating area. That's how easy it is to change the height of the rear door. And we briefly took a look at the interior earlier when I was talking about the interior color, but you do have very nice soft touch materials here. You can put your arm on there and give it the armrest test. Yes, it is nice and comfortable. The upper and the lower door bins, quite a bit of space, as I said earlier. And there's a lot of little nooks and crannies all over the interior. Now, there is a little bit of gloss black here. I don't think that's going to be a problem because most likely nobody is going to be touching that area, I don't think, but who knows. You do have the privacy shades on each window here for the middle row passengers. And one thing I like to show is the fact that for third row passengers, the very rear seating area, these middle row seats do move back and forth, so they can change positions if necessary. And when you get ready to get back there, or your passengers do, I like pushing the button right there. You can just move everything up and out of the way. You really don't have to do a whole lot to get back here. And then we'll pull the seat back and give you a couple of different views. Even with the seat in its stock position without moving it at all, I still have quite a bit of space between my legs. And let me sit straight up here. Let's see, here we go. 5'10". Well, if I get too far over here, yeah, I don't have a lot of head space. But if I kind of sit towards the middle a little bit, yes, I do have a lot of head space. And then obviously you can move over here and see there is a ton of leg room space. So quite a bit going on there. That's a good thing. Air conditioning vents, a couple of cup holders, and USB connectivity is what your rear seat passengers will find. And one last thing, if the middle row seat passengers hop out and don't remember to let the rear seat passengers out, well, they could go through the pass-through, at least in this particular case, depending on trim level or options. You can have a middle seat right there. Depending on the trim level, it can be removable as well, just like on the Honda Odyssey. But the good thing is, it's super simple to get those seats moved up and out of the way if necessary. And you saw that we had the rear seats folded down initially when we were looking at the rear seating area. Obviously, you can do the same thing here with the middle row seats, and so that's very simple to do. You do have the rear seat pockets, and you have the fold-down armrest here. Pretty comfortable and seems to be in a good spot. Also, we're going to have tri-zone climate control, so the third zone being here in the rear, everything can be controlled back here. Obviously, no one has been sitting back here in the middle of the summer in Northwest Louisiana because 85 degrees would be too hot even during the winter, I think. And you can control everything, fan speed, temperature, everything you would expect there. And then there are 2 USB options as well. And for a change, I like that because normally you would have 3 seats right here, but you would still only have 2 USB options. It would be nice to see a third just for convenience purposes. And we'll see a similar setup on the front doors to what we saw on the rear doors. Don't really have to tell you too much or say too much about that. And then we're going to have the power seats for the driver and the passenger. Now, they're only heated. Ventilated would be nice, especially when you live in a steamy part of the country as we do here in Northwest Louisiana. You can see the Pilot logo on the floor mats down there. And then we'll hop inside. We're going to have more of that gloss black that works its way across, surrounding the air conditioning vents, and then space up here in the dash area. Let's see if I can pull my phone out of my pocket in a timely manner. There's a good place to put that. There's all sorts of things that could fit right there. And dual zone climate control here in the front. Again, way too hot. Don't know why that's that hot, but it is. and then if you want to, you can sync those together, and that way we can have both set appropriately. And like I said, you do have the heated seats, 3 different settings for that. We won't be needing that for a very, very long time. More space for the cell phone right there. We also have USB connectivity options, as well as the 12-volt power outlet, wireless charging, and we do have the push-button shifter. Tell me what your thoughts are on that. Some people like it, some people don't. Maybe you started out not liking it and you got used to it and do like it. I'm always curious to know what your thoughts are on that. There are your cup holders. And then we have some more controls for your power parking brake, brake hold mode. We'll be selecting our driving modes right there. I'll show you what those are shortly. And a nice large lid for the center console. Probably not too bad. It would be nice to have it maybe be a little bit higher, at least for myself personally. But for some people that may not be an issue. And then quite a bit of space within this area. So a lot going on here as far as that goes. You do have your sunglasses holder here. And there's the ever popular conversation mirror. I have a lot of people, when I show that it's not on some of these vehicles, who say they wish it were. And as we take a look in through the driver's side door, you're going to notice the obvious differences between the passenger side and the driver's side as far as what you can control here. One thing, this is my opinion on this matter, you do have seat memory here on the EXL trim level. I believe that should also be on the passenger side in addition to being here on the driver's side. You can drop this lever right here to adjust the tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. Here is a look at the newly updated digital dashboard, and you can go through a lot of different information. All I'm doing is using the scroll wheel right there to do that, just in case you were wondering how I was doing that. Pretty simple to figure out. There are your steering wheel mounted controls. Obviously everything over here for cruise control. And you do have these shifter paddles there for your 10-speed automatic transmission. And let's go through, I showed you the mode selector, drive mode selector right here. Let's go through what those are. In fact, we'll just start right here. We'll go with normal. We're going to have Econ Snow. You also have a tow mode. And we'll go all the way back up here to sport mode. And then the 9-inch infotainment screen, the touch screen, now at a 90-degree angle, greatly reducing issues of glare that we saw with the previous generation. It wasn't terrible necessarily, just depending on where the sun was. But now that's pretty much eliminated, especially without a sunroof in this model. That helps even more. So you have less light coming into the interior from that perspective, but still plenty coming in. Now you will notice that I'm using Apple CarPlay here. You do have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. You can pair your phone without the use of a USB cable. That's always a good thing. And even though the screen looks different, it's still just as easy to use as it's ever been. Cabin Talk is still there, so you can have all kinds of fun with that depending on the situation. And I do like the fact that you have the nice graphics here with vehicle settings. Makes it very easy to go in and change whatever it is you might need to change. A very simple system to use, that's for sure. I think Honda's done a very nice job here. A very clean layout, simplistic to use, no matter who you are. But let's get out on the road and we'll talk a little bit more about the differences in the driving experience with this updated 3.5-liter V6. Okay, we are going to go on a real quick test drive simply because of the fact that this is a pre-sold unit, so I don't want to put a bunch of miles on it. But what I can tell you is that it handles well. It has a really nice ride quality, and this is just with me in the vehicle. The more weight you add, the smoother it should ride. So if you have a few more people in the vehicle, that's going to help. And everything here is easy to get to. That's always nice to have as far as the different controls and functions and all that good stuff. And you know, I can never say this enough, because I know there's still a lot of you out there who are waiting to buy a new vehicle, and you've waited a really long time, and now you just don't have much of a choice. You have to go ahead and do something. But the thought of all this new technology is kind of scaring you. Don't worry with Honda. Very simple to use, very simple to learn. You can't go wrong there. Now, I'm going to get out here on the road and we'll give it just a little bit of an acceleration test. Okay, here we go. The one thing about it is that this motor seems to be a lot smoother than the previous generation of the 3.5 liter V6 as far as acceleration goes. It doesn't have that kind of labored feel to it, real high RPM, and just kind of, it accelerates and gets down the road and does a good job, but this one does an even better job. So that's a good thing. That's the big difference between the two engine combinations. This one's more efficient and definitely will not let you down going from point A to point B. And that is what you get, at least with some of the main features. Tell me what you think. For the EXL trim level, based on what we have here, is that a good price? Tell me what your thoughts are. If you plan to buy a 2023 Honda Pilot, what trim level do you plan? How do you plan to spec it out? Or maybe you're just going to go to the dealership and see what they have. I'm always curious to know. I have to say a special thanks to my friends at Holmes Honda for loaning me this 2023 Honda Pilot for the day. And a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to take the time to watch and give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.